Okay, I'm accepting the challenge of a mask video. This is an Arctic fox I shot a few years ago at the zoo in Tacoma, Washington. And I'm going to first duplicate it maybe a couple of times just so that I always have something to go back to. And then I'm going to go to Adjustments, Texture, and choose a texture I want to work on. And one of the things I find helpful in looking at the textures is to take the opacity of the texture all the way up, leave it on normal to begin with, and then run through and find the texture I want. And I know that I want to probably use this one. And then I'm going to tamper with it a little bit. I'm going to take maybe HSL color tuning. Don't know what happened there for a sec. And I'm going to take my green saturations down, my green lightness down. We can always do some of this again later once we have the image on and see what we want. So adjusting just a few things, and then another thing I want to do to it is blur it. And I'm going to use Gaussian blur and bring it up to where it smooths it a bit. And then I'm going to say apply that just so that I have, again, a backup to go back to. And I'm going to bring in an image of our Arctic fox, put it up there. I do have other videos about understanding masks, but not in Topaz Studio. One of the quick things I want to show in here is that when we do mask, and so you click on the mask icon up here, when it's a picture it'll show up as the picture. One of the things I want to show is that you have the brush that we've all been using, but also things like color or luma, and it's pretty obvious that this is a bright white fox on a dark background. We could try that one and see what happens if we choose that. And we're starting out pretty good. We can play with the luminosity a bit and see how that does, and the range. We're getting better and better with our mask, right? So if we go too far, we start bringing back the original background. But that gives us a pretty good starting point, and then we can go into the brush. We're using white to reveal, black to conceal, and what we don't want is for those eyes to be lost, or any part of the fox, and I think even the wood down here we want to keep, so we're going to use a white paintbrush. And I'll do one of the eyes just so you can see the difference between that eye and that eye. And we'll bring in the nose. So we want to bring in the whole fox though. And what I'm going to do is bring the softness of the brush way down and the size up so that I can get the bulk of the work done without having that red circle go outside the fox. And by having it hard, we're less likely to miss spots in the mask. You can see this whole area is nicely white now. And I can bring down the size of my brush. And remember, if you make a little mistake like over here, you can always come back with a black brush and brush it back in. And then when we get near the periphery, we can change to a softer and smaller brush. Get the legs. Can't remember where his back leg was. So now I'm going to work with a softer brush and go around the edge here. Do that. White brush. And just make sure that we keep the red circle inside the leg and let the edge awareness work for us. And so we have our fox selected. Let's go around the edge a little bit here. Make sure we're getting him in there. Good. So there's a pretty quick selection, but I want to do more with this image. You can stop here if you wanted to see the masking. By the way, it looks like we have some things to fix here with the background, so I'm going to come in here with a pretty hard brush, black brush to get rid of hints of the original background. Not that they're that bad, but they may just ruin my effect. Go a little softer so that we can get close to this hair without ruining it too much. Bring down here. Okay. So if all you wanted to see was the masking, we're done with that. Always see more. You could probably stop your video here, but if you want to see where I'm going to take this image, stick with us. Now, one thing I noticed that I'd like to do is I'm going to apply this mask. I'm going to come into Adjustments, go to HSL, back to this background. I want to pick up those greens, make them darker yet. Maybe decrease the saturation a little more. Same thing with the blues. purples. It's getting there. Say apply. And then I'm going to come into impression. And I'm going to start with pencil. And I have one that's a smoothed sketch. Just adapted from some of the others. And one of the first things, I don't want all this. I could come in and just come down and increase the paint opacity and see if those go away. But one of the other things I can do, if that's not compatible with my effect, would be to come down to the texture layer here and say original, and it got rid of all those. So I like that. Then I can decide, is that too much? I'm looking mostly at the fur now. I don't want to lose it entirely. So I'm going to come down to about 50 or 60% on that. I like it. And I want to mask the eyes, though. Remember, a lot of the great part about animals is the eyes. So let's get a mask and a black brush. Of an appropriate size for what we're looking to accomplish. And bring back in the eye. See, there's the one we masked, there's the one we didn't, so let's get the other one. Maybe the nose and the mouth. And that's good. So the one last one I want to do is again under the impression heading, but this time charcoal and pastel. And come down to smudged. And obviously a bit too much. And again, go down to the texture and select original. Taper off a little bit on that. And once again, I want to keep those eyes. So we pick up a mask, a brush, and go for a black brush. Or if you don't want full blackness, you can adjust the transparency a little bit here. Boom, 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 boom. And I think we'll call that good. Well, thanks for watching.